Today we are going to plan some Instagram content. If you struggle with coming up with ideas for what to post on Instagram, or you need a little help with consistency and organization, then grab your favorite hot beverage and settle in, because in today's video we're going to be planning my Instagram content for May together. I'm going to take you through the whole process. If you watched my recent Instagram strategy update video, which I will link up here, then you'll know that I'm kind of taking a bit of a shift going into my content for the summer of 2022. If you've watched my Plan With Me series in the past, then you'll know that I'm kind of a big fan of batching content a month at a time. But I kind of want to take a different approach going into the summer. All of the reasons are going to be in that video, so you can watch it if you want to know why. But the point is, today we're not going to plan every single idea for an entire month, but instead we're going to put together a system that's going to allow me to batch my content 1 week at a time. So if that sounds more up your alley than doing a whole month of content, then this video is going to be for you. So if you want to see how I develop a brand new Instagram content creation routine and how I strategize for making content 1 week in advance, then keep on watching. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie and I'm here to be your guide on this content creator journey. Here on YouTube, I love to share my best tips around Instagram strategy, but also other stuff sometimes, like being a digital entrepreneur, making a podcast, growing on YouTube, all that great stuff. I've got playlists organized on my channel so you can see all the different stuff I give tips about. Y'all, this matcha is just hitting different today because it has been quite a week. By the time you're seeing this video, you'll know that I've just been posting 1 video a week for the past few weeks, and that's because life just got crazy, y'all. I'm really excited about posting 2 videos a week in May. So I think this should be my last week where you just see me once. So if you've been missing the Tuesday uploads, they're coming back. I'm working on it. It's just been a lot lately. Okay, so let's get into it. The first step in planning my Instagram content is going to be creating my new content strategy. Again, I talked about this in depth in my video from before, so you can go watch that. But just to summarize, this is basically going to look like posting 3 times a week on Instagram, 1 reel, 1 informational or high value carousel, and 1 more creative photo with a longer caption. I did a lot of consideration and research to come to that conclusion. That's all in that video, but the important thing for you to know now is that is the plan. So you'll know I'm a big fan of Notion, and so I'm going to be using my Notion content calendar to plan out my content for May as well. This is what my content calendar for April looked like. Yes, it's a bit overwhelming, and yes, I did batch all of this content in 1 week. Video linked up here if you want to see how I did that. But this is not what May's content calendar is going to look like. So I'm just going to flip ahead to May, and we see a nice clear blank calendar. Makes you feel kind of less stressed because you're like, oh, I don't have to do anything. But then all of a sudden you're more stressed because you're like, I still have to plan all this content. But that's what we're going to do now, so it's all good. So this is pretty much what my content calendar for May is going to look like. I'm just going to set up basically an empty framework of a reel on Mondays, and I'll just call that reel for now because I don't know what it's going to be yet. And then I'm going to create a carousel on Wednesday. And finally, I'm going to add a photo post for Friday. Now you'll notice I'm using these cute little templates, and that makes it so much easier. So basically, you can see all you have to do is press new template to create this, but it automatically will assign the emoji that's associated with this item, and then it gives it a category and a status. So I don't have to add that in every single time because it's the same for every feed photo. And this is the basic framework. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this over so that I have one for every Monday in May. And then I'm going to make sure that I do the same for the others. And then that will kind of give us our checklist for what I need to create over the next month. Even though this is still a lot, somehow this just feels a lot more calm to me than this. Also, you'll notice that all of these say not started. That's because I wasn't really using the status feature. I was just using the done. But because I'm going to be taking a little bit longer with each piece and kind of being a little bit more intentional or making them more creative, it might be more of a process than just a checkbox kind of represents. I'm going to actually use these so I can say, oh, I've actually already taken this photo. Let me change the status over to in progress. And then once I complete the caption, I'll put scheduled, or once it's scheduled, then later. So this is what my content strategy looks like. The next step for making this new approach work is planning my content creation routine. So in the past, I would sit down with y'all every month and make my monthly plan, go through all of my different ideation sort of techniques to come up with my post ideas, and then I would create content over a week. But I'm planning on doing it a little bit differently, so I need to figure out how I'm going to work it into my schedule, because I truly believe that if you want to be consistent on Instagram, you need to plan how you're going to create, and you need to develop a content creation routine. It's not good enough to just set goals. So I think the first thing is going to be trying to find a time in my calendar where I can do this content creation each week. Now, my weeks can vary a lot because of different client stuff that comes up over at my business, Creatorly Media. So I personally find it best to plan out when I'm going to do my creation on a week-to-week basis. So instead of having a time block, like let's say every Monday at 3 p.m. or whatever, instead I will have a reminder in my weekly to-do list, and then I kind of have a trigger at the beginning of the week where I know, okay, I need to plan when I'm going to film my YouTube videos, when I'm going to record my podcast, and when I'm going to create my Instagram content. That's kind of going to become one of those weekly recurring tasks now rather than being a monthly thing. The other reason why I need to figure this out each week is because me and my partner Dan both live in this tiny van, and he has a lot of meetings for his job, and they change up each week, and I have to obviously not have him talking in one of his meetings in the background of my Instagram reels. So I gotta plan it week to week. So I'll show you my little hack in Notion for doing that. So this is my Notion dashboard, and basically I just have columns for each day of the week. And over here in the top right hand corner, well, I've got a little menu bar across the top, but one of those menu items is my weekly to-do list. And if I toggle it down, you'll see, okay, this is like quite long. But what I'll do is I'll select all of this. I will go Command C to copy it, and then I will just toggle that up, tuck it away, and then I will go ahead and paste it, and then I can just start clicking and dragging these things to assign them to different days once I've checked in with Dan and figured out when will be the best time for me to film and record and all that stuff. So what I need to do is just open up my little copy and paste list here and add some items for content creation. So I'm going to go ahead and make one to-do list item for planning the content for the following week, and then I'm going to make another to-do list item for creating this week's content. So just to clarify what my plan is, because I know I was saying like next week, this week, what my approach is going to be is, let's just pretend it's May 2nd right now. I am going to be planning the content for the 16th to the 20th actually, and I'm going to be creating the content for the 9th to the 13th, because I just find it way too stressful to be like, let's say it's Monday and then I'm like, I have to make a reel today. No, like I can't deal with that level of spontaneity, especially because I'm dealing with somebody else's schedule. So I am going to always be working a week ahead. So when I say make this week's content, really that means the following week. And then when I say plan next week's content, it's the week after that. And I have the same approach when it comes to my YouTube videos. I always film them the week before they're actually going to go live so that I have time to edit, optimize everything that I need to do. So that's my approach. So now that I've broken down my tasks into two separate items, planning my content and creating it, I need to make sure that I have routines in place for both of them, or processes. That's going to make me more efficient. So first, let's talk about how I'm going to plan my Instagram content. Okay, so in the past, like if you've seen these videos, you'll know I've got a few main places that I go to look for inspiration, including past feedback or insights from my audience. I look for news and trends on Twitter and other websites. I check for leftover ideas from the previous month. And then, of course, I go to the Explore page or Discover page on TikTok and Instagram, and I might check out Pinterest as well. So rather than doing these things in a really in-depth way on a monthly basis, I'm going to add these as little checklist items for my planning session time that I'm going to do each week. And I think that this will really help me keep even more up to date with like the latest updates or trends, because I'm doing it on a weekly basis instead of a monthly basis. And then, of course, when it comes to creating, I will kind of set myself up with a block of like an hour or two each week when I know that I have a quiet background so that I can film my reel and then do my carousel and photo stuff. And that's going to vary each week, so I'm not going to go in with a super set in stone routine for it. Okay, so now for the more typical part of the video, let's talk about brainstorming some content, because even though I'm going to be creating content on a weekly basis, I think it would be really helpful if I'm not going in totally blank every week. So I want to do still once a month kind of a check-in and a bigger brainstorm and kind of do a bit of a brain dump of ideas so that I have that base to go back to. So if in a given week, it's a slow news week, there's not really much going on when it comes to Instagram updates or whatever, I can go back and look at previous ideas that I've had. So popping back into Notion, if we scroll down from my content calendar here, I've set up a little Instagram content ideas section. By the way, if this video is like totally convincing you to jump on the Notion train, I actually do have a Notion content calendar template that you can grab on my website, so I'll link that in the description below. Is this channel becoming a Notion tips channel instead of an Instagram tips channel? Stay tuned to find out. Okay, so you can see that I've set this up in my 3 main categories. Like I mentioned at the top of the video, we're posting 3 different types of things each week: carousels, reels, and more like editorial or creative photos. So I've got columns for each of those. Then I also have another area for other, in case I come up with something that I don't think really fits into those 3, or I'm not sure what it could be just yet. Because there's still possibility for me to create other stuff. Like, I think if I come up with a really funny idea for a meme or some other kind of graphic, like, I will do that. I'm not going to just completely limit myself to these 3, but this is going to be my standard or my starting point. So you can see I've already got a section for my leftover Instagram ideas from last month, because there's a couple reel, I guess this was a reel and this was a graphic that I came up with for April that I ended up pushing forward. And then I've got some ideas that I just have jotted down as I thought of them. So this is already a really good starting point. And then as I think of stuff, I can just add it to my, different columns. Plus, I also like to use the Notes app on my phone, because as much as I love Notion, it's not the most intuitive on mobile. So I like to keep a running note on my Notes app just going when I'm out and about and I think of an idea, that I can just throw it down on here and then later transfer it over to Notion. Okay, so with all that preamble, I'm going to do a little bit of brainstorming, and I'm going to come up with my ideas for my first week of May, because that's coming up pretty soon. And then I'm going to throw a bunch of other ideas into my other columns so that I have those to back myself up when I can't come up with ideas on the fly in the future. Alright, so I hope you found this video maybe helpful, maybe inspiring when it comes to figuring out what your content creation process can look like. I really love making this kind of video because I feel like so much of the Instagram strategy world on YouTube is like tips and hacks, and like this kind of content will help you grow, and that's all great and helpful, but I think what's missing is people finding processes and workflows and routines that work for them, that allow you to actually implement this stuff, because I really believe that your Instagram strategy is only as effective as it is sustainable. So you need to find ways that you can actually implement this over time, and that's exactly what I showed you in today's video. So make sure you subscribe so you can find out how this strategy pans out, because I'll be, of course, showing you my May Insights report once the month has gone by and we can take a look at how my content performed. But until then, I hope, as always, that you are having adventures and following your dreams, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!